Hello again, everybody. Welcome to the Spread, Nesson.com's football picks podcast, whatever it is we're calling it. I'm Nesson.com's Mike Cole, joined as always by Andre Khatchaturian on my right, Ricky Doyle on my left, both of Nesson.com as well. If that makes sense. We're all here working on the same roof.
Yep.
That's what we do.
It's a beautiful thing.
We're here, as always, to make some NFL picks. They're probably going to be bad. Feel free to fade them, because if last week is any indication, we have no idea what we're talking about. I will say this before we get into the records from last week. I don't think anybody did well across. Like, it was a big week for Vegas. This is why, my buddy Rear Admiral on Twitter, he said, there's a reason Vegas is always building billion-dollar casinos and hotels.
Yeah. I'm not going to make excuses for us.
I'm not making excuses either.
I'll take any excuse I can get.
We weren't alone in being horrible, I guess.
Yeah, but this is a message to the audience. Whatever we do, just bet the opposite.
I'm feeling good about this week. But
I'm not.
Before we get to this week, Andre, hit us with the numbers from last week.
So last week, week 3, Ricky went 6-10. He is currently in first place with a 21-27 record. I went 5-11. I'm in second place overall with 18-30, and Mike 4-12. If you just did everything opposite, you'd be 12-4. That would have been an amazing week. You're dead last right now, 17-31.
I meant to look up the numbers. I didn't. I think last week the small favorites went like 2-7 or something. Like
a lot of close games.
3 points or fewer went usually the way of the underdog. Just a weird. I don't know. It's weird. We didn't struggle this much early on last year. I don't know.
Take into account that the lines will fluctuate a little bit between.
That's another thing too.
We're not going live here.
Keep making excuses for us.
At the end of the year,
I'm grasping at straws.
I'm ashamed.
Admittedly,
I'm not making excuses. I'm ashamed.
Well, just look at before we get into the pick. I took Green Bay last week.
So did we?
Yeah, all of us did.
Old-fashioned backdoor cover, to say the least.
But it was not only was that that line was 6.5, 6 in some places at kickoff. We had it at 7. We didn't, or 7.5. So we lost. We didn't even push.
The Panthers, also same thing. It was an 8-point spread. We were dumb enough to take that against a really good Vikings team.
Yeah, that too.
But I will say this: you guys were making fun of me for my Chiefs bet last week and the Browns, and they both won. I'm going to take great pride in that.
All right. Well, speaking of Chiefs,
I misremember. Let's get into the triple play.
You do want to misremember last week.
Well, this is what we're calling it for this week, the triple play.
Yeah.
Triple play!
3 biggest games of the week. We'll make our picks for all of those, and then we'll get into some locks, upsets, some prop bets, things like that. So let's get into it. As always, all of these odds presented by OddsShark. Our friends at OddsShark have great invaluable information and tools for you to use and then still lose. It's not their fault. It's your fault. All right, first game. Sunday afternoon, Buffalo coming to New England, taking the Patriots. Buffalo, of all the things I did wrong last week, picking the Bills, not one of those things. Kind of had a feeling that might have been a letdown game for Arizona, and also it felt like Rex Ryan's last stand. Now he's coming to New England with a little bit of mojo, feeling good about himself already. Patriots, not really sure where they have a quarterback. Still 4.5 points at a lot of places. That's what OddsShark has it as. Ricky, who do you like here?
I'm taking the Patriots, regardless of who's playing quarterback, because I'm not going to sit here on Monday morning and kicking myself because I went against the Patriots. I mean, it's just, for me, I'd rather die with them than bet against them and look like an idiot in hindsight. That defense looked really good. As bad as Houston looked last week in New England, that was, an abysmal. They just didn't show up to that game, which I guess is to be expected when you're the Houston Texans. It's kind of what we've learned to come to know from them over the years. But the fact that it's in Foxborough plays huge to their favor, in my mind at least. I don't know. I'm taking the Patriots.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you, Ricky. It's sometimes you just gotta throw the numbers out of the door.
No, honestly,
I learned the hard way last week. I was trying to be all statistical and cool and smart, but look, it's Bill Belichick.
I know it's
much
anecdotal.
More disciplined. They're gonna beat the Bills. They're gonna crush them. Rex Ryan's already making these big comments. He doesn't care who plays quarterback for the Patriots. It doesn't matter. The Patriots are gonna cover this. I'm not gonna. It's the Patriots, man.
Yeah.
You just got to simplify it. It's the Patriots.
I tried to get cute when they a couple of weeks ago, and it didn't work out. I tried to be very statistical about it.
Look,
so
Mike has his phone out right now because I was very boisterous on Thursday night. I told Mike I was never more sure about anything in my life that the Texans would beat the Patriots. I was very wrong. I was very confident, and I looked like an idiot. and this is why I'm ashamed of myself. At the start of the show, I came out and said, I am ashamed of myself. I made stupid picks.
So basically, the way you
and
look
I was
at it,
so confident about it, too.
you look a lot dumber when you pick against the Patriots and get beat
than
if you pick the Patriots and they screw you over, whatever, there's a backdoor cover at the end of the game. You don't look as dumb because you can look back and say, all right, well, I took the Patriots. And history shows it's a pretty good bet.
My goal,
all right, so
my week 4 resolution is not
Thursday.
to look dumb.
Thursday night, I'm texting with Andre. J.J. Watt is going to eat Brissett and have some leftovers for tomorrow.
Yep.
J.J. Watt, I think he played. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll check the box there.
I've never been more confident in a game. Just a random Bill O'Brien text in here, which I'm not sure what your point is there.
You're number 1 in all those in
Bill
those
O'Brien,
categories.
So then I texted him screenshots of those texts at halftime. It's the first half, man. Have you ever watched a football game? 60 minutes, 4 quarters. And then, it didn't go well. He goes, I like what I'm seeing from the Texans offense. I don't know when that could have been. They scored 0 goddamn points.
They were moving the ball.
They fumbled 2 kickoffs. BS plays happen like that all the way. And then at 11:56 Thursday night, hey, I was wrong. Texans aren't a good team.
How much did you drink Thursday?
Right.
God, how hard did you hit the sauce?
I just was very confident in a very bad pick.
All right.
And
I like what I'm seeing from the Texans off.
Yeah, I didn't.
Patriots Bills.
You must have been watching a game at 5 in the morning on the NFL Network.
I just want to
preseason
say,
game.
the last thing you want to do is read the comments, especially YouTube comments. I read the comments on last week, so I was a little inspired by some who was giving us crap. So it was a bad week. Hopefully that guy faded me. It would have been really good. But I got some numbers here.
Okay.
Buffalo 16-33-3 in its last 52 after a straight up win. That's against the spread. They're 2-5-1 against the spread in the last 8 games after against the spread win. Also, last week an anomaly. Buffalo, if you look at their 3 touchdown drives, they started their own 47, their own 48, Arizona's 47. The Cardinals lost their punter early in the game. Chad Catanzaro had to take over. He stinks at punting. Buffalo's 4th touchdown came on a botched field goal that the Bills recovered and took back to the house. The Patriots, meanwhile, forced Houston to start its drive average on the 16-yard line. If you take out the touchbacks after kickoffs, they started the 11-yard line. The Patriots in the kicking game was fantastic last week. I don't think they're going to turn the ball over, and I think they're going to continue to be good at the kicking game. Bills have only started 4 of their 33 drives this season inside their own 20. That's 12%, half of the league average. I think they're going to start a bunch of games down there, or a bunch of drives down there this week. And I think if you're trying to make them go on a long field, they're not going to be able to figure it out. So I like the Patriots to win relatively easily here, even if Jacoby Brissett's quarterback.
Yeah, and that 16-yard line, so that's just incredible.
So,
when you consider the league leader, the Lions, at least last week, they're the league leader. They're 20-yard lines. It's just
Got to pin them deep. You can't give them good field position.
So basically,
and the
no matter how you
make
look
those
at
mistakes. So yeah.
No matter how you look at it, you want to take a deep dive into it statistically, or you just kind of want to go on a whim and say, I'm not taking it.
It all points towards the Patriots.
Everything's coming up New England. So
all right.
I'd advise that.
Sunday night, Kansas City at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh got absolutely I was probably using a bad schwacked. They got schwacked. They got dump truck. They got curb stomped. They went to Philly and just got smoked by the Eagles. They look terrible. And now they get Kansas City this week, Sunday night in prime time. Steelers, as of right now, 6-point favorites. And Kansas City look good against New York. Andre, why don't you start this one off?
Mike, you're a very smart person. Start of the season, you told me that the Chiefs' pass rush wouldn't be the same without Justin Houston. It really hasn't. They have 3 sacks this year. How do you beat Big Ben? You hit him in the mouth. That's how the Eagles beat him. They sacked him 4 times. That's not going to happen this week because Justin Houston's not playing. The Chiefs have a good defense, not so much of a good pass rush. I like the Steelers in this one. They're going to bounce back. They get Le'Veon Bell back. They're at home. It's a Sunday night primetime game. I don't really know if Alex Smith can handle that pressure. I like Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers in an annihilation this week.
Interesting, Ricky.
I'm taking the Steelers as well. I liked them a lot better when the line opened up. I think it was about 4 points it might have opened up at.
Yeah,
but
I'll look on that.
It's climbing a little bit. But I still like the Steelers in this game. I think last week, the Chiefs showed a little something on defense, but at the same time, that was more just the Jets throwing up all over themselves. Ryan Fitzpatrick, that's probably the worst game I've ever seen quarterback in my entire life.
Yeah, it was bad.
And that's not even an exaggeration. Jets turned the ball over 8 times, 6 interceptions, 2 fumbles. Like I said, I think that's more a product of just the incompetence of that offense last week. Don't expect the Steelers to do the same this week. At home, prime time. A little concerned about I think the Steelers kind of lack that second option, or at least a proven second option behind Antonio Brown.
I was going to get to that, yep.
But I think that's where Le'Veon Bell comes into play this week, helps him in the passing game. I don't know, like the Steelers in prime time at home. even with the 6
You don't like
points.
Jesse James, the tight end?
I just think they're missing Tavis Bryan right now, and even Heath Miller.
Or
I
an
mean,
effective
the safety
Marcus
valve.
Wheaton either.
Exactly,
Marcus
yeah.
Wheaton's been
You
dinged
have
up.
to get
Eli
3.
Rogers hasn't been the
I think
kind of
Wheaton
guy.
had 3 drops
Right.
last week.
Yeah,
so
yeah, he did.
he looked like garbage. I don't know. I think the Steelers will bounce back despite those issues. Because the Chiefs, I mean, I like the Chiefs. I sat here at the beginning of the season and put them in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But
I like the Chiefs too. Don't get me wrong. I had them last week. They
Yeah.
won, but the Steelers are angry right now.
I can't imagine them flopping 2 weeks in a row.
I liked the Chiefs getting 4.5 points. I love the Chiefs getting 6 points here. One thing I looked at from last week, the Steelers, you look at the line for Carson Wentz when it was all said and done, looked fantastic. If you go back and actually watch the game, he didn't move the ball downfield at all. A ton of their yards came from short passes in the flats. Darren Sproles had a huge game, a couple big touchdowns. I like that to happen again this week. I think the Chiefs can do that pretty effectively. I think it actually fits what they're trying to do. When they get pressure on Alex Smith, he's terrible. So maybe you look to do something quick, something short out of the backfield. Spencer Ware could, become up huge in the spot like that. Not really big at receiving stats last week, but if you look at the first couple of weeks, he was great out of the backfield catching the ball. And if you go back 2 weeks, Pittsburgh, they struggled against Cincinnati, especially on defense. You look at what Gio Bernard did, 9 receptions, 100 yards, and a touchdown. This is a bit of a trend. I think it's a bad matchup for the Pittsburgh defense against Kansas City. Alex Smith also, keep it simple, stupid with him, 12-12 for 162 yards on short passes to the middle of the field last week. Kansas City 4-1 against the spread in its last 5 versus Pittsburgh. And again, I'm not in love with Pittsburgh's receivers outside of Antonio Brown.
Yeah, and that's all you really need, though.
Hey, I'm not going to sit here and say Kansas City is going to win this game, but with 6 points, I'll take my chances.
Okay.
So.
It's amazing that game against the Jets was even that close. Was it 24-3? I mean, throw 3 picks in the red zone and just, oh god.
Don't sleep on that secondary too. They have
He's
some
right.
playmakers.
The Chiefs had a bunch of interceptions. How many times did they pick off Fitzpatrick? 6 times. They couldn't.
3 times in the red zone.
It was a
I expect the
game.
Steelers to punch those in.
Yes, and I
absolutely.
imagine that you would agree with me that Jets defense is a little bit better than Pittsburgh's.
Yes.
It's a bad matchup.
I'm not talking about the Jets defense, though. I'm talking about the Chiefs defense picking off Fitzpatrick 6 times and not being able to cash in.
My point is that the Chiefs offense had to go up against the Jets defense after trying to cash in on those turnovers.
Oh, well, the game's in Pittsburgh. Their defense.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case.
Listen, the Steelers just got dump truck. They're going to be awake for this
I
game.
know.
They're going to come back. Ryan Shazier and Chris Collinsworth didn't call Ryan Shazier's name Shazier. The way he calls his name is always interesting.
Is he healthy?
We should get
Chris
that thing.
Collinsworth?
Shazier, hold on.
I don't know if Collinsworth is.
Shazier is very questionable. So is Ramon Foster. So I
man.
like it even more.
I like Chris Collinsworth.
Give me the Chiefs. I do too. He's fine.
Yeah.
Final game of the triple play Monday night. Another primetime game. 2 good primetime games after 2 crap fests this week. The New York Giants. They had the Minnesota Giants looked terrible for a good portion of that game. Lost late. Against Washington. They take on the Redskins. They lost to the Redskins. They take on the Vikings this week. Vikings 3-0. Keep on. I mean, that pass rush is ferocious. Cam Newton looked like a mere mortal. Minnesota, arguably the best team in the NFC. Still looks like a weird spot here going home. Only a 4-point favorite. Andre, start us off here.
I'm going to go with the G-Men, the Giants. Yes. Why? Both of these teams have great defense. We all know everything about the Vikings. They're number 1 in everything. Sacks, yards per play, turnover differential. Giants have a good defense too. Don't look at last week's game against the Redskins. What did the Redskins do a lot of last week? They kicked a bunch of field goals. Why were they kicking a bunch of field goals? Because
The Redskins.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
what's the difference between the Redskins offense and the Vikings offense? Sam Bradford is John Elway now? No. Look, Giants have the second best red zone defense. They're going to force Blair Walsh to kick a lot of field goals, and guess what? Blair Walsh isn't good at kicking short distance field goals. So I'm going to take the Giants in this one. They're going to win this game on the road.
Kicker this week.
What's that?
Blair Walsh, the center of your offense this week. Okay.
No, it's mostly Sam
coming,
Bradford, because Sam Bradford's not going to be throwing touchdowns. How many offensive touchdowns do the Vikings have this year? Not many. They have a couple to Stephon Diggs, and that's it. They had a punt return last week. Kyle Rudolph
Still 3-0 and 3-0 against the spread.
3 or 4 offensive touchdowns. I should have looked at this, but I can't count on my one hand how many offensive touchdowns the Vikings have. It's not many.
All right.
And I like the Giants defense.
I like the Vikings.
You're wrong.
And it boils down
That's
because
mature.
what do I love more? Almost as much as Smash Mouth football and cliches. Ball security. Love hanging on to the football. And the Vikings are doing that. +8 turnover differential, best in the NFL. Giants -6, second worst in the NFL. So I don't know. I
Oh,
could see the
just like
G-men
that.
making some mistakes in this game, and give some credit to Mike Zimmer, huh? If Belichick's not doing what he's doing in New England, he's probably the coach of the year. I think we could agree on that one.
Yeah.
I think you actually wrote about that.
yeah.
In the Stock Watch.
Stock watch.
Check out the Stock Watch, Vanya. All right, I checked it out yesterday, and I was
Cool
thrilled.
little graphics in that.
Yeah, I know. Nice little graphics. You got it all. I think Xavier Rhodes' return was huge last week. Obviously holding Kelvin Benjamin and Devin Funchess, your boy, to 0
Funchess is my boy.
to 0 catches.
I
I don't know. I'm just making allegations now. But I think he should be big and stopping the Giants' big receivers. So I like the Vikings.
I don't even know what school he went to.
I also
It's your boy. I don't know.
You
You
call
figure
him
it
my
out.
boy if I don't know what school he went to.
I also like the Vikings. I'm with you, Ricky. It's like you copied off my paper. I was going to mention the turnovers as well. I think that's huge. I don't think that plays well in the Giants' hand going on the road either.
Yeah, that terrifies
The
me.
only thing that gives me concern is like the Giants, especially. I don't know if it's different, post Tom Coughlin, but it would always be like every time you're ready and willing to say that the Giants are good, they poop themselves, which is what happened last week. And every time you're ready and willing to say they suck, they go out and they win a game they have no business winning, usually on the road. Here's the problem. They've got injuries in the secondary. Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie has a groin injury. Eli Apple has a hamstring injury. Darian Thompson had a foot injury, missed last week, could miss again this week. That's banged up. Stefan Diggs is going to run wild. He's going to be ready for a big bounce-back game. He was kind of a non-factor last week. Again, you look at what happened after Apple and Rodgers-Cromartie got hurt in the second half last week. Washington, 14 yards per completion in the second half. Minnesota, 4-1 against spread in the last 5 home games. For whatever reason, they continue to be undervalued at home. Add it all up. I just using the information I have readily available.
14 yards for completion, but all those drives, guess what? They ended in field goals. 5 field goals by the Redskins. Can't finish those drives. They had that big play to Crowder.
Maybe that's a Redskins thing.
I know.
The Vikings offense is probably worse than the Redskins offense.
We're dealing with a lot of chicken and egg scenarios.
Right.
Here. Similar to what you were saying about the Chiefs, and it's figuring out who.
Guess what? I was right last year.
Also, not so bold, but kind of bold prediction. Minnesota scores on defense at some point.
Probably.
Monday night, and I think that helps.
I think that's starting to become a safe bet almost.
Yeah, right. All right, that was fun.
It was.
I think we did a pretty good job.
Lively debates.
Upsets and locks. Let's start with locks this week. Ricky, why don't you start us off?
I'm gonna take the Broncos as 3.5-point favorites over the Bucks. The Bucks have been all over the map right now. I believe it was 3.5.
I got you right here. Go on. Yeah, I'll look it up.
But yeah, Tampa Bay has just been all over the map. Looked really good in week 1.
Still three.
Had the flop in week 2, and then this past week was a little bit of a mixed bag, so you don't really know what they're gonna do. But again, this goes back to the turnovers. They're prone to turn the football over, going up against that Denver defense, who we don't even have to really get into that. It's pretty well documented. And Travis Etienne looks pretty competent, beyond competent, actually. He was pretty good this past week. So I can see the Broncos defense having a field day with that mistake-prone Buccaneers offense. Also, the whole going to Tampa Bay thing doesn't scare me at all. Bucks 5-13 against the spread in the last 18 games at home.
Listen, I like that. I also like the Bucks too. I like the Broncos.
We'll get to that in a second.
I still think the Bucks will win the NFC South. By the way.
Yeah. Okay.
What are they? First place right now with the 1 and 2. No, second place because Falcons are 2-0. Anyway, my lock.
That division's shaping up to be something.
It's like how it was 2 years ago.
What else is new?
Goosebump inducing.
Yeah.
I like the Dallas Cowboys for my lock of the week. Look, more and more they're starting to look like that 2014 team. They're just efficient passing game. Last 2 weeks, Dak Prescott 10 yards per attempt. You like smash mouth football, Ricky? That's what the Cowboys are doing right now in the trenches.
You're speaking my language.
Oh yeah, the Cowboys are speaking your language. They're running the ball well, efficient passing. And guess what? They're back to possessing the ball. 35 minutes a game, second in the NFL. That's what they did in 2014 when they were so successful. They're playing the 49ers. They're going to be able to mop all over them. There was only a 3-point favorite. They'll easily cover that and win the game.
Wow. All right. For mine, I'm going with Thursday night. I like the Bengals.
Very underrated theme song, by the way.
It is a good theme song.
It is great.
I like the Bengals to win at home and cover the spread against Miami. That's a 7-point spread. I look at Miami, and one thing that kind of stood out to me in looking up the numbers, 5.3 points per game in the first half this year. That's not going to get the job done. I think you look at a short week on the road, you want to get off to a good start. They haven't been getting off to good starts all year, so I think that's something that kind of bodes poorly for them. Since he's been a good first half team, especially at home, they scored 14 points this past week in the first half. Also, a lot of trends go against Miami. 1-11 against the spread in its last 12 after accumulating more than 350 yards in the previous game. 3-15 against the spread in its last 18 versus the AFC. 2-5 last 7 against the spread as dogs between 3.5 and 10 points. And 0-7 last 7 games against the spread versus teams with a losing record. Cincinnati technically has a losing record. Miami also has 16 guys on the injury report. Jordan Cameron's out. Arian Foster, who knows? Jarvis Landry's banged up. Mike Pouncey's still banged up. Kiko Alonso banged up. You look it up and down.
A lot of people are banged up.
It feels like a blowout.
The Bengals have allowed 12 sacks this year, and Dolphins have a good pass rush.
That's the one. I'm weary of that matchup, but I still don't. I look at that Miami team, and it's too many questions on the other side of the ball. And I think maybe this is a game. Maybe this is a Geo game where a lot of screens kind of get move the pocket, get a little creative.
But how do you beat Andy Dalton? Hit him in the mouth. And I think the Dolphins
How do you
can
beat
do that.
any quarterback? You hit him in the mouth.
If you hit Tom Brady in the mouth, you can't beat him. Or Aaron Rodgers.
The Giants would beg to differ. But
I've met a lot of quarterbacks that like to get hit in the mouth.
No,
so.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Let's get an
Or
upset.
people, for that matter, human beings
Yeah,
that like to get hit in the mouth.
I
Sure, if I was getting hit in the mouth while I was doing my job, I'd fumble my way through it
Yeah,
more
you were
than I
out for
already
like
do.
3 weeks from work for getting
It
hit
was,
in the mouth.
it was
Yeah.
hit in the mouth.
I
Me and
fight
Andy
that.
Dalton have a lot in common.
You're basically an NFL quarterback. Upsets, Andre, start us.
Sorry, not Dallas Cowboys.
You like
They're
Dallas?
favorite.
Talking about hedging your bets.
I'll take the Cleveland Browns as my upset pick. I loved them last week, man. Cody Kessler coming out of nowhere, third-string quarterback. You made fun of me, but he was great. And they found a new target, Terrell Pryor, who could also play quarterback if Kessler struggles.
Yeah, that Miami pass rush really made Cody Kessler look bad.
They hit him in the mouth, but he still was able to.
He's the one guy. Cody Kessler's the one guy.
Listen,
immune.
if Cody Parkey
Exception to the norm.
makes one of his 3 field goals, he was a competent kicker. The Browns win that game straight up.
If Miami doesn't literally poop out
You're
the
big.
football.
You're big on the kickers this week.
Yeah.
And
The
listen,
kicking game.
Redskins notoriously horrible in run defense. The Browns, surprisingly very good rushing offense. 5.7 yards per attempt by the Browns. Isaiah Crowell, I like him to get unleashed. Terrell Pryor, too. He'll run for a lot of yards. I like the Browns to win this straight up.
That's a horrible matchup for Washington. Also, D'Angelo Hall tore his ACL. Rashad Breeland might not play with a mild ankle sprain. Not a good matchup wherever you look for Washington. Ricky.
I like the Raiders over the Ravens. The Raiders are 3.5-point underdogs. The Ravens, I'm not sold on them as a 3-0 team right now. You look at the competition they've beaten the Bills, the Browns, and the Jaguars combined 1-8 record. All three with some quarterback issues, I guess you could say. Well, basically none of them have a quarterback as good as Derek Carr or an offense as good as the Oakland Raiders offense. I understand the Raiders have a track record of, when they go west to east, it usually doesn't work in their favor. I mean, they're pretty, they tend to be garbage when it comes to the Eastern time zone. But I look at the Ravens, 2-9-1 against the spread in their last 12 at home, so not exactly a lot of home field advantage there either. So, I'm just not buying into the Ravens.
All
I like that pick.
If there's one thing that I've done well so far this year, it's pick an upset.
Yep.
I'm not actually sure about that, but
We'll check the tape.
I was out in front on the.
You got the film.
All right, so I don't love this pick, but I feel okay about it. I'm going to take Tampa Bay to beat Denver. Well, not beat, but cover. Maybe beat. Who knows?
Well, if it's an upset, then they have to beat them, right?
No, they just have to cover.
No, that's not an upset. That's not an
I
upset.
have a fundamental misunderstanding.
Yeah, we're going to have to go
No,
back to the
upset is
drawing
they
board.
gotta win.
All right, who cares? Fine.
If they cover it, it's just a cover.
Tampa Bay wins.
The whole point of a spread is to make things even, right?
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah,
you can be bold. Tampa Bay beats Denver. That's
All right,
okay.
fine. Yeah, I like Tampa Bay.
You know what?
Can I get it? All right, fine.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I like the matchup. You look at it's for me this week. It's all about matchups. The Bucks have some big receivers. You look at a guy like Mike Evans. You look at Vincent Jackson, 6'5", 230, big old dudes. You look at the tight end, Cameron Brate, 6'5", 230. I love the Denver defense. I do. But then that secondary, not very big. Not very big guys. TJ Ward also banged up, so you're not getting help over the top. You know who had a really, really, really good game against Denver this season?
Who?
Kelvin Benjamin. Big dude as well. I look at that matchup. I think they can keep it close, maybe pull one out late. Tampa Bay's got to stop turning over the football. That's an issue.
Yeah.
But again, you look at Denver traveling twice, and I just be on the lookout for that
You
one.
know, you convinced me.
Yeah.
I have Broncos written here. I'm gonna change it.
I think
the Bucks are gonna. He's
I
a
think
very
those.
convincing man.
You know, the key word when you referenced Vincent Jackson was old. When you said big old dudes.
Yeah.
He's not what he is.
No, he's not.
Mike
but
Evans is a big young dude.
Go back and watch the tape from last week.
Jameis Winston's a big dude.
All Winston had to do last week was throw the ball up. They went and got it. I think that happens again. I think it's a big week for Mike Evans. And I like Brait too. Maybe for a little DFS play if you're doing that. So I don't know, just something to
That's
keep an eye
daily
on.
fantasy sports for.
All right, let's
Those who don't understand
speed
acronyms.
through parlays, props, teasers, whatever it is. Andre, why don't you kick us off?
I'm gonna do. All right, I'll do another
What
6
language
point.
Why
are
don't
you
you just
speaking?
parlay all the picks you just made?
I'll do a 6 point teaser. Dallas +3, Steelers +2. We'll put $100 on that.
All right.
That's it.
Break
Go
it.
easy.
We'll go with a little 14 pile. Well, we're gonna take the Broncos. I always stick my lock in there. So I feel like
That makes sense, yeah.
You know, it's just a natural fit. So
It's
you
a
already
lock.
know the reasoning behind that. I'm also gonna take the Cardinals 8-point favorites over the Rams. We saw what happened when the Cardinals, after the Week 1 loss, they came out and just steamrolled the Bucs. I think they're gonna have a similar mindset in this one. Not buying into the Rams, even after them putting up 37 points in Week 3. Like the under 47.5 when it comes to the Steelers and Chiefs this week. Total's gone under 4 the last 5 times they've played. I don't know, just strikes me as a game that could turn a little bit of a dogfight there. And the Lions and the Bears, I'm taking over 46.5. I'd like this more with healthy Jay Cutler at the helm, but Lions have shown ability to put up some points, and both teams dealing with injuries on
You
the
said that was over
defensive side.
47.5?
46.5 was the last.
46.5.
I
I
had
like
the
that as
Lions
well,
and
Bears
Bears
and
that,
Lions.
because
It sounds like a matchup between two incompetent defenses.
I was gonna say it's gonna be a crappy shootout, but a shootout to say the least.
Holding steady at 46.5. You can get it at 46 some places.
I like the Colts Jaguars over whatever that is.
Yeah.
It's,
Although
In London.
Yeah, it's in London. That's an issue.
We didn't get the sleep expert's opinion this year.
That's a good
That's
point.
usually that's usually the go-to move.
the
See what
week
the
is
sleep
young.
experts.
The
say.
week
Although
is-
he's full of crap last year, so screw him.
Week is young. I'm doing a 3-team parlay against the spread. I'm picking against all of the winless teams. So I'm taking Indy as 2.5-point favorites in London against Jacksonville. I like Detroit as 3-point favorites, even though on the road against Chicago. And I like San Diego as a 4-point favorite against New Orleans. The game's in San Diego. I feel like I'm missing something there. New Orleans, that defense looks terrible. So that's 50 to win 315. So. All right, show and tell.
Everybody's
start?
favorite. You want me to start this week?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. I'm digging into the bag of tricks here. Hey, I brought a sponge.
Oh,
A sponge. It's still a little soapy, but
you used that this morning?
no, I grabbed it out of the shower. I had like a little shower caddy in my shower, and check it out. It's still a little wet too, so I'm gonna leave that over here. But it's a sponge, and it's because Carson Wentz is soaking up a lot of knowledge early on in his NFL career. And he's just quick onto these things. As actually a lot of a few young quarterbacks are soaking up the knowledge early, but I think you can make the case right now that Carson Wentz might even be the MVP through 3 weeks. Looking at his impact on the Eagles, who are 3-0.
Derek Carr was the MVP.
That's the end. I was just about to say. I'm not saying it's going to continue, but through 3 weeks, I've been pretty impressed by what I've seen from the number 2 overall pick. Quick learner, soaking it up like a sponge. So
what is he going to do this week? In his bye week.
he's probably going to soak up more knowledge.
I was gonna say,
Yes. What do you think
Bet
he's going to
the,
do?
bet
You
the
trying to
red on
test me,
Philly
guy?
next week, coming off of the
Oh, yeah.
coming off the bye.
That's all he's going to do is just soak up knowledge. So
More time to soak up.
Michael?
Yeah, I'll go. All right, let's see. Bring it over here. I got a clock. And now they say even a broken clock.
Raise it so the
They
folks
say
at home can
even
see.
a broken clock is right 2 times a day, right? Yeah, unless the broken clock is in charge of the New Orleans Saints defense. And then it's not, because the Saints defense is absolutely horrible. Also, this clock, it's representing something. The time is running out in New Orleans. I think it's time to blow that thing up. I've been saying this for 2 or 3 seasons now.
Yeah.
It's not Drew Brees' fault, but just try to get something for him. It's probably not Sean Payton's fault, the whole thing, but get somebody in there who's going to find a defensive coordinator or run a defense. It's just, I've seen enough. It's just over. It's done.
I miss
how
the
do you
old
sit there
Saints.
year after year and just let that be, as a franchise, as an organization, just let that be the case?
If I could have brought Dynamite in, I would have brought that in, blow
Yeah.
it up. I
The
don't know.
second time you referenced that.
Well, they
Whatever.
still won't let us bring it in.
Yeah, I know. I still can't bring Dynamite
Safety
in.
first,
All right, my object is
boy.
olive oil. not just any regular type of olive oil. It's Tunisian olive oil.
Oh, yeah.
And you know,
good stuff.
I don't know what people in Tunisia eat, but I'm pretty sure it's very exotic. So Matt Ryan's cooking with some exotic olive oil right now. This is because he's been fantastic.
Yeah,
I've been very wrong about Matt Ryan so far.
Yeah, and I mean,
Good matchups.
Let's
though.
not get
really
ahead
good
of ourselves.
matchups.
Yeah,
Oakland and
very true.
Atlanta, or Oakland and New Orleans. Ugh.
But this is going to parlay into a victory against the Carolina Panthers this
Wow.
week because I don't know. Cam Newton used to be cooking with this olive oil last year, the Tunisian olive oil.
He sold it.
But he sold it to Matt Ryan, it seems like, because now Cam Newton's numbers below, again, completion percentage below 60% again. 5 interceptions already. 5 interceptions. MVP, come on. I don't buy that. So I'm going to go with Matt Ryan's olive oil to beat the Panthers this week.
All right, that was good. Good stuff this week, guys. Good job. Maybe we can win more than 15 games combined this week.
Yeah.
That's the spread as always. Make sure to check out the what's the other one? The hurry up.
The hurry up.
The hurry up. All right, the Nesson.com.
The Stock
weekly
Watch.
Football show. Stock
And,
Watch.
what else we got?
Maybe like the Nesson Facebook page. You'll get the
Facebook,
when we drop
Twitter.
it for live chats.
Twitter. People still on Twitter these days.
Yeah, go to Nesson.com, the actual website.
The actual site itself.
Read whatever we have. There's also a ton of podcasts. Like and rate and share on iTunes.
Do it all.
All right.
Make Nesson
I don't think I can remember.
Make
Have a
Nesson your
ball. Go
homepage.
nuts.
I don't remember any of this.
That's all. All right, let's get out of here.
All right.
See you guys.
Have a good week.